Hello everyone. Today I will be talking about antidepressant drugs. The specific learning objectives of today's session are that at the end of the session, one must be able to define depression and explain the pathophysiology behind it, classify the antidepressants, and describe the pharmacology of these drugs. Depression is a disorder of mood. Actually, there are two poles of mood, that is an elevated mood and a depressed mood. So in depression we are talking about a depressed mood, and depression might be categorized into unipolar and bipolar, where in unipolar there is only one extreme, that is depression of the mood, while in bipolar disorder a person has swings between depressed, extreme depressed mood or extreme elevated mood. We can also call it as manic depressive psychosis. According to the DSM-4 criteria of diagnosis of depression, it is diagnosed as depression when there is a depressed mood for at least 2 weeks and or loss of interest or pleasure in most of the activities, disturbances in sleep and appetite, and thought of guilt and worthlessness. In extreme cases like major depression, there are also suicidal tendencies, and an attempt or a thought of suicidal nature is diagnosed as major depression. Many theories have been put forth which explain the pathophysiology behind depression. All of them are concerned with some chemical deviation in neurotransmitters in the brain. The monoamine hypothesis suggests that there is deficiency of noradrenaline and or serotonin in the brain, leading to the symptoms of depression. This theory was put forth after the observation that reserpine, which causes exhaustion of all the monoamines, lead to symptoms of depression, while monoamine oxidase inhibitors and drugs which inhibit the reuptake of monoamines lead to elevation of mood in patients of depression. Also, the noradrenergic type of patients or patients in whom there is deficiency of noradrenaline as a neurotransmitter in the brain which governs the emotions, show the symptoms of psychomotor retardation, weight loss, and loss of libido, while patients with serotonergic type of depression show symptoms of agitation, sleep disturbances, increase in anxiety, and weight. The other symptoms are common in both types of depression. A problem arises with monoamine theory of depression is that despite of treatment with the antidepressant which immediately raise the noradrenaline and serotonin levels in the brain, the effect of these antidepressant drugs is not seen until 2 to 4 weeks of therapy. There was another theory which was put forth which explained the delay in the antidepressant treatment. This theory states that there is decrease in the levels of brain-derived growth factors and other such factors which lead to the symptoms of depression. And the level of these factors increase after 2 to 4 weeks of antidepressant therapy, which parallels with the antidepressant effect. Depending upon their mechanism of action, antidepressants are divided into tricyclic antidepressants, the selective serotonin noradrenaline reuptake inhibitors, drugs blocking noradrenaline reuptake, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, atypical antidepressants, and monoamine oxidase inhibitors. The tricyclic antidepressants are the oldest class of drugs that inhibit the reuptake of both noradrenaline as well as serotonin by the respective transporters, that is noradrenaline transporter and serotonin transporter. Apart from these actions, tricyclic antidepressants also have antihistaminic, anticholinergic as well as alpha blocking activity. The selective serotonin noradrenaline reuptake inhibitors do not have these additional properties and are the congeners of tricyclic antidepressants. There are also drugs that selectively inhibit noradrenaline reuptake and serotonin reuptake. So all these drugs are focused on increasing the either noradrenaline levels, serotonin levels, or both noradrenaline and serotonin levels in the brain. There are atypical antidepressants which have different mechanism of actions as compared to the above drugs, but still show the antidepressant effect. The monoamine oxidase inhibitors inhibit the metabolism of monoamines in the brain, leading to increase in the levels of monoamines in the brain. Coming to tricyclic antidepressants, these drugs block both noradrenaline as well as serotonin reuptake from the noradrenergic and serotonergic neurons in the brain respectively. Apart from inhibiting the norepinephrine and serotonin transporters leading to excess of these monoamines in the synaptic cleft, these drugs also have alpha adrenergic blocking activity, antihistaminic and antimuscarinic properties. The tricyclic antidepressants with only noradrenaline reuptake properties are also available, along with some newer agents which have some additional mechanism of action. So these drugs which specifically inhibit the noradrenaline reuptake cause excess of noradrenaline at the synaptic cleft. This increase in noradrenaline levels lead to antidepressant action. Amoxapine is one of the newer antidepressant, tricyclic antidepressant, which also blocks the D2 dopaminergic receptors in the brain. Therefore, it has the antipsychotic actions as well. The overall effect of tricyclic antidepressants and the newer agents is presented in this slide. These drugs, apart from their effect on the mood center in the brain, also have effects on the other parts of brain and in the periphery owing to the non-specific actions. For example, these drugs can cause sedation, which is the antihistaminic effect of tricyclic antidepressants. These drugs also lower the seizure threshold, which can lead to seizures in patients who have taken an overdose of tricyclic antidepressants, or a patient of epilepsy can precipitate with an episode of seizure. The extrapyramidal effects are seen with amoxapine, which also has antipsychotic effects owing to the D2 blocking effect. The effects on autonomic nervous system can be due to anticholinergic effects, which are seen in the form of dry mouth, constipation, epigastric distress, urinary retention, tachycardia. The peripheral alpha blockade can lead to postural hypotension, sexual distress. There might also be chances of arrhythmias due to the anticholinergic as well as noradrenergic peripheral effects on the heart. Due to the effect on endocrinal system, weight gain and sexual disturbances are seen with tricyclic antidepressants. The prolongation of QT interval can lead to arrhythmias among the patients taking tricyclic antidepressants. Apart from the non-specific actions of tricyclic antidepressant on various receptors in the body, these drugs are also notorious for many drug interactions. Like tricyclic antidepressants potentiate the sympathomimetics, directly acting sympathomimetics by blocking their reuptake. The actions of anticholinergic drugs is also potentiated due to their own anticholinergic actions. The CNS depressant effect of drugs like alcohol is potentiated by tricyclic antidepressants. Plasma protein displacement reactions are seen with tricyclic antidepressants, due to which drugs like phenytoin, aspirin, chlorpromazine displace tricyclic antidepressant from their binding site on the plasma protein, leading to toxicity of tricyclic antidepressants. These drugs act synergistically with monoamine oxidase inhibitors so that there is excess of monoamines at the synaptic lefts, and this can be seen in the form of hypertensive crisis in the patients who are taking tricyclic antidepressants and monoamine oxidase together. The tricyclic antidepressants antagonize the effect of clonidine, which is an alpha 2 agonist, owing to their alpha blocking effect. Selective serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors forms a newer class of drugs which have a good adverse effect profile as compared to tricyclic antidepressants because of their specific activity on the inhibition of reuptake of serotonin and norepinephrine only. The mechanism of action of these drugs is similar to tricyclic antidepressants, but these drugs do not bind the alpha adrenergic receptors, histaminergic receptors, or muscarinic receptors to block them. These drugs, because they do not have the anticholinergic, antihistaminic, and alpha blocking properties, most of the adverse effects seen with tricyclic antidepressants are not seen with SNRIs. However, sudden discontinuation can lead to symptoms of dizziness, paresthesia, and headache, while excess of noradrenaline in the brain can lead to symptoms of insomnia, tachycardia in the periphery, and anxiety as well. The selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors specifically inhibit the reuptake of serotonin only, and these are the most commonly prescribed drugs among antidepressants. So these drugs increase the serotonin levels at the synaptic cleft. Similar to SNRIs, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors also have an advantage over the tricyclic antidepressants because these drugs also do not have the anticholinergic, antihistaminic, and alpha blocking properties. However, the initiation therapy with SSRIs lead to agitation, anxiety, and insomnia. Symptoms of sexual distress can be seen due to increase in the serotonergic tone. Nausea is seen due to the stimulation of 5HT3 receptors at the chemoreceptor trigger zone, while loose stools are seen due to the excess of serotonin in the GI system. Discontinuation syndrome is also seen with SSRIs. The SSRIs inhibit metabolism of other tricyclic antidepressants, the antipsychotics like haloperidol and clozapine. Therefore, precautions should be taken when these drugs are to be given together. Similar to the interaction between monoamine oxidase inhibitors and tricyclic antidepressants where hypertensive crisis arises, when SSRIs are given along with monoamine oxidase inhibitors, serotonin syndrome is seen, which is presented in the form of hyperthermia, muscle rigidity, tremors, and later cardiovascular collapse. All the drugs discussed so far have some common features like they show a biological lag of 2 to 3 weeks to show their antidepressant effects, and the reason for that has been ascribed to the adaptive changes that occurs in the neurons during the therapy. initiation of the therapy. These are downregulation of the postsynaptic beta 1, beta 2 adrenergic receptors and the serotonin receptors, and desensitization of the presynaptic receptors, among which there is alpha 2 adrenergic and 5HT1 serotonergic autoreceptors. There is also an increase in the brain derived nerve factors. So all these neuronal changes occur during the 2 to 3 weeks, after which the antidepressant effects are seen among the patients. There are atypical antidepressants which show mechanism of action different from the tricyclic antidepressants and other drugs that we have discussed earlier. Trazodone inhibits the uptake of serotonin and also blocks the 5HT2A receptors and shows anti-anxiety effect as well. It has retained the alpha blocking property seen with the tricyclic antidepressants. Nianserin blocks the presynaptic alpha 2 receptors so that there is increase in the release of noradrenaline, while mirtazapine blocks the alpha 2 as well as the serotonergic presynaptic autoreceptors and heteroreceptors. Therefore, it causes both increase in noradrenaline as well as serotonin in the synaptic cleft. Apart from that, it also blocks the histaminic receptors and the 5HT2C receptors, which lead to sedation and weight gain. Bupropion along with noradrenaline and serotonin also blocks the reuptake of dopamine. It has little sedative and anticholinergic effect. Coming to monoamine oxidase inhibitors. Monoamine oxidases are mitochondrial enzymes which cause degradation of the monoamines, namely adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine and serotonin. There are two isoenzymes of monoamine oxidases, the monoamine A and monoamine B. Monoamine A is mainly present at the adrenergic nerve endings, intestinal mucosa, liver and placenta, while monoamine oxidase B are present in brain, platelets and liver. The monoamine A has preferential action on serotonin and noradrenaline, while monoamine B has preferential action on phenylethylamine, which differentiates these two enzymes. There are different inhibitors of monoamine oxidase A like chlorgelin, meclobamide and tranylcypromine, while the MAO-B inhibitors are saligelin and tranylcypromine. Here we can see that tranylcypromine inhibits both monoamine oxidase A and B as well. The monoamine oxidase A inhibitors increase the levels of serotonin and noradrenaline. Therefore, these drugs are effective in depression, while the MAO-B inhibitors inhibit the dopamine degradation in the brain and more useful in Parkinson's disease. So the MAO-A inhibitor, that is meclobamide, inhibits the metabolism of serotonin and noradrenaline, and the monoamine levels remain elevated for 2 to 3 weeks even after withdrawal of these drugs. A biological lag of 2 to 3 weeks is also seen with monoamine oxidase inhibitors as seen with other antidepressant drugs. Monoamine oxidase inhibitors are known to cause postural hypotension, weight gain, dizziness, sexual dysfunction in the form of impotence and loss of libido. The MAO inhibitors are also known to cause many drug interactions which are different from the tricyclic antidepressants. The cheese reaction is seen in the form of hypertensive crisis. When monoamine oxidase inhibitors are consumed along with cheese, beer, wine, or food substances that have high amounts of tyramine or dopa. These substances are not metabolized by the monoamine oxidases in the body and cause rapid replacement of noradrenaline from their vesicles in the noradrenergic neurons, leading to excess of noradrenaline at the nerve endings, leading to hypertensive crisis. As discussed earlier, monoamine oxidase inhibitors, when given with TCAs, can lead to again hypertensive crisis. Also, these drugs, when given along with directly or indirectly acting sympathomimetics, can cause hypertensive crisis similar to the cheese reaction. The MAO inhibitors inhibit degradation of dopamine, which is later on converted into noradrenaline, and this can also lead to hypertensive reaction. More so when given along with levodopa. These drugs cause decrease in the metabolism of morphine, sulfonylureas, and chloroquine. Various therapies are available for treatment of depression. Psychotherapy is one of the cornerstone of treatment of depression. Drugs are added to give an adage to the psychotherapy. Electroconvulsive therapy are generally given in patients who have suicidal tendencies. The goal of treatment of depression is the resolution of symptoms of depression to prevent the relapse and recurrence in high risk patients. All drugs are equally efficacious in treatment of depression. However, owing to the different drug profiles, the drugs might be used depending upon the coexisting illnesses of the patients and the other profile of patients. The SSRIs are the most commonly used antidepressants for treatment of depression, and these are considered as the first line agents. The other drugs which are atypical antidepressants like mirtazapine, nefazodone, duloxetine and venlafaxine are also commonly used for treatment. The tricyclic antidepressants are not used but generally reserved for treatment of patients who are not responding to these drugs. Generally, a single drug is started with, and if the therapy doesn't show any effect, cross tapering is done. That is, dose of the previous drug is slowly decreased while the another drug which is used as a substitute is the dose is slowly increased. When a single drug doesn't show any effect, addition of a typical antidepressant to an SSRI is one of the options for treatment of for depression. For prevention of relapse, the patient has to be treated for at least from anywhere between 9 months to 1 year, and slowly the drug is tapered. While patients who are at high risk, who have shown an attempt to suicide or having severe symptoms of depression, treatment with 3 or more years is required. Tapering of drugs over 6 weeks is required for prevention of the withdrawal symptoms. Apart from depression, the antidepressants are used in wide variety of psychiatric illnesses, among which SSRIs are the most commonly used drugs. The panic disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, attention deficit hyperkinetic disorders, school and social phobia. Among all these psychiatric illnesses, SSRIs are commonly used, while in attention deficit hyperkinetic disorder, the tricyclic antidepressant imipramine is preferred. Patient with post-traumatic stress disorder is treated with paroxetine. Patients with neuropathic pain like diabetic neuropathy are generally treated with tricyclic antidepressants. Amitriptyline is also useful in migraine. Bupropion is one of the drugs commonly used for smoking cessation, which prevents the urge for smoking and the symptoms of withdrawal of smoking. Bulimia nervosa is treated with SSRIs again. For enuresis in children, the tricyclic antidepressants are useful because of their anticholinergic activity. So in this session, I have very briefly discussed about the what is depression, what are the different theories behind the cause of depression, the classes of drugs used for depression. In very short, I have also discussed about the mechanism of action, the differences between the adverse effects and the use of these drugs in depression and other allied psychiatric illnesses. Thank you.